What if your body is speaking a secret language, revealing that a profound personal transformation has already begun? And what if learning to listen could change everything you know about yourself? Have you ever sensed a deep, internal reorganization happening beneath the surface of your conscious mind? A feeling that something fundamental is being rebuilt from the ground up? The pioneering psychologist Carl Jung taught that the journey toward wholeness is not merely a mental exercise. It is a full-bodied, cellular event. Every significant shift in your consciousness leaves its signature on your physical form. Your body is the primary canvas where the invisible work of the soul becomes visible, long before your thinking mind can catch up. Today, we will explore 5 distinct physical signals that indicate you are completing a major life chapter. These are not signs of illness, but sacred messages from a psyche in the midst of its own rebirth. These sensations are the vocabulary of a deep, archetypal process. Jung saw this inner alchemy as the most significant journey a human can undertake. To end one chapter is to experience a symbolic death, a necessary dissolution, so a more authentic self can take form. Your body is not breaking down, it is breaking open. When your soul decides to release what no longer serves it, your physical vessel responds. It communicates through sensations we often misinterpret as problems, when they are actually profound communications. This is the body's native tongue, a raw, unfiltered expression of truths the mind isn't ready to voice. These physical cues follow ancient, universal patterns. You are living through a liminal passage, a sacred threshold between the person you were and the person you are destined to become. In this in-between space, your body acts as both the bridge and the witness. It holds the memory of your past and the blueprint for your future. The first, and perhaps most common, signal is a bone-deep weariness that rest does not seem to touch. This is not ordinary fatigue. It is the exhaustion of a massive internal renovation. Jung observed that our unconscious mind becomes incredibly active when we're shedding old ways of being that have become too constricting. This specific tiredness saturates your very being. It feels as if your entire energy system is being upgraded. Picture the old wiring of your habits and beliefs being carefully disconnected so that new, more efficient circuits can be installed. You are metabolizing the emotional residue of a life you are outgrowing. This fatigue occurs because you are processing ancient feelings, releasing energetic ties, and integrating memories that stir within you. It is a whole-body endeavor. Jung spoke of the transcendent function, a psychic mechanism that works to reconcile our inner opposites. This function operates intensely during transitions, consuming vast amounts of energy. Your body registers the cost of this profound psychic labor. Your perception of time may warp. Hours feel elongated, while days blur together. Your internal rhythm is resetting as you step out of the mechanical pace of your former existence and into the organic, sacred timing of your own evolution. This weariness is not a defect. It is a sacred pause. It is your body's request for a ceasefire in your inner conflict. Do not mistake it for laziness. Honor it. Your physical self knows the plan, even when you feel lost. It is deconstructing the old framework of your identity so a new structure can be erected. When you feel this profound exhaustion, remember, a holy process is underway. You're being reconfigured, and though it is slow and disorienting, it is guiding you back to the wholeness that has always been your core. The second sign manifests as powerful emotional surges that appear without obvious cause. Sudden tears during a mundane task. Unexplained frustration over a minor inconvenience. A hollow feeling that descends without warning. These emotional tides move through you with a force that is both chaotic and meaningful. Jung understood these oscillations emerge as the ego, the crafted identity we present to the world, begins to separate from its familiar moorings. The mask you've worn for years starts to fracture, and the emotional scaffolding that supported it begins to tremble. What seems like instability is actually a profound liberation. It is the release of emotional patterns ingrained since childhood. Your soul is purifying its emotional archives. And just as disinfecting a wound stings before it mends, this process can feel raw and unsettling. These surges are evidence of disidentification, your psyche's method of freeing itself from outdated emotional structures and roles. Every tear that falls carries a piece of an old identity away with it, dissolving into the waters of your renewal. Jung viewed these emotional storms not as failures, but as essential rites of passage on the road to individuation, the emergence of the true self from the remains of the persona. Yes, it is painful. It can feel like being pulled apart from the inside, as if the very ground of your emotional world is giving way. But only through that dissolution can something genuine be constructed. The authentic self, stripped of pretense, can only appear once the artificial supports have been taken down. These emotional waves often follow a natural, rhythmic pattern, much like the tide. Days of lucid peace are followed by spells of confusion. Moments of bright hope are replaced by periods of deep melancholy. This is not madness. It is the natural pulse of a soul undergoing metamorphosis. Each wave carries its own intelligence, arriving not randomly, but in harmony with your inner healing cycle. Some waves bring buried pains to the surface, asking for your acknowledgement. Others cleanse you of obsolete stories and beliefs. Every emotional surge delivers its own medicine, even when it feels overwhelming. Do not misinterpret this turbulence as a flaw. It is proof of your psychic strength. Only a courageous spirit dares to navigate its own inner weather. Only someone prepared to expand will allow themselves to feel so deeply what many spend a lifetime suppressing. You are stronger than you know because you have chosen to feel, to confront the shadows instead of fleeing from them. Then we have the third indicator, a distinct shift in your sleep architecture. You might find yourself restless, your mind too active to settle, or you may fall into a heavy, protective slumber, as if your body is seeking sanctuary from the intensity of your inner work. Jung described dreams as the royal road to the soul, the stage where the dramas of the unconscious are performed when the conscious mind is offline. The night becomes your private clinic. While your conscious self rests, your unconscious works diligently, bringing forward suppressed memories, unprocessed feelings, and archetypal symbols that surface by morning. Your physical form, however, bears the burden of this nocturnal activity. Altered sleep reflects the deep work of your inner world. As one life chapter concludes, forgotten symbols and ancestral patterns rise, demanding resolution. The soul uses the darkness as a healing field, but your body experiences the side effects of this deep transmutation. Sometimes you awaken more tired than when you went to bed, not from poor rest, but because your dreaming consciousness was performing intricate emotional surgery. Jung saw dreams as a portal to the collective unconscious, that vast repository of human experience linking us all. During times of change, your connection to this ocean becomes more direct and vivid. You're not only dreaming your personal dreams. At times, you brush against the dreams of your lineage, the dreams of humanity itself. Dreams in these phases are particularly potent, filled with symbols your waking mind may not grasp, but that your soul understands perfectly. Animals that communicate. Departed loved ones returning with a word. Landscapes from your past reappearing with stunning clarity. These are not meaningless mental chatter. They are sacred communications from the unconscious, keys that unlock hidden rooms within your psyche. At times, you may have dreams so vivid and tangible they feel more authentic than your waking reality. These are not ordinary dreams. They are soul memories, fragments from other layers of your being. Jung referred to these as big dreams, those rare visions powerful enough to redirect a life. Your body reacts to this psychic activity with either restlessness or deep fatigue. Sleep becomes a sacred workshop, a space of transformation where your soul labors in the quiet of the night. Honor this work, even if it disrupts your normal schedule. Instead of fearing these strange shifts in your sleep, ask what wisdom is seeking to emerge in the darkness that the light of day has not yet revealed. The night is not your adversary. It is your collaborator, a dark nursery where your next self is being nurtured. The fourth sign emerges as unexplained physical discomfort that migrates throughout your body. Aches in your back, tightness in your chest, a sensation of a knot in your throat, or digestive unease can all be manifestations of truths your soul is trying to express physically. Jung viewed the body as the theater where the unconscious enacts its dramas. When the mind cannot find words for its distress, the body begins to speak on its behalf. These sensations are not imaginary. They are the symptoms of a soul in transition, somatic echoes of what must be let go. Every area of the body holds symbolic significance. Back pain often speaks of burdens you've carried for too long, responsibilities that were never rightfully yours. Tightness in the chest can point to emotions that were never given voice, grief that was never expressed. Stomach issues may suggest there is something in your life you are struggling to process, an experience, a relationship, or a truth about yourself. These physical expressions follow an ancient, symbolic logic, a wisdom far older than rational thought. They speak in the language of symbols, which Jung believed was the most direct route to the soul. Your body converts emotional tension into physical signals because it desperately wants your attention. These sensations can also resonate with the pain of previous generations. Ancestral wounds that were never resolved may find expression through your physical vessel. You carry not only your own history, but also that of your bloodline. The cycle you are completing is larger than your individual story. Sometimes pain appears in body parts connected to specific life experiences. The hands that gripped too tightly, the shoulders that bore the world's weight, the knees that bent to the unworthy. Every ache narrates a story. Every tension conceals a secret. Pain arrives in rhythms, sometimes sharp and acute, other times a dull, persistent presence, traveling through your body like a messenger delivering different parcels of truth. Today it's the neck, tomorrow the hips, the next day the heart. This journey follows energetic pathways known to ancient wisdom traditions for millennia. Your body is not malfunctioning. It is attempting to translate a reality you have not yet dared to confront. It is your most faithful companion on the path of self-discovery. Even when its messages are uncomfortable, learn to decipher its language instead of silencing it. The fifth, and often most unsettling, sign is a pervasive sense of not fitting in anywhere. You feel like a foreigner in your own surroundings, within your family, even among old friends. It's as if you're suspended between two realities. Jung might say this is the essential void, the fertile emptiness where the genuine self can finally emerge, free from old roles and expectations. This feeling of alienation comes from having released the old anchors, but not yet having sight of the new shore. It is a sacred, if uncomfortable, transition. You are no longer who you were, but not yet fully who you will be. You dwell in the liminal space of becoming. The ego, once defined by external attachments, career, family, status, loses its orientation. What is left is the essential self, stripped of costumes and disguises. This moment of nakedness is terrifying, but ultimately freeing. The distancing from familiar people and places signals that you are expanding beyond your former level of awareness. Environments and relationships that once felt meaningful suddenly seem shallow or irrelevant. This is not snobbery. It is internal growth. You become more attuned to energy. Busy places may overwhelm you. Superficial dialogue drains you. You yearn for quiet, for depth, for what is real. This change in sensitivity is a sign that your soul has refined its calibration. Simultaneously, you may find new forms of connection with nature, with art, with literature, with others who are navigating similar transformations. These new bonds feel different, deeper, less conditional. You start to realize that certain interactions no longer feed you. Gossip and trivial talk feel like empty sustenance for the spirit. You hunger for conversations about purpose, meaning, and the great mysteries of life. That hunger marks the dawn of your spiritual awakening. The solitude you feel is, paradoxically, a form of emancipation. You learn to value your own presence, to explore your inner terrain. Silence becomes your mentor. Solitude becomes your sanctuary. Do not rush to fill the emptiness. The new can only arrive once the old has been fully cleared. This phase of feeling unmoored is a necessary passage toward true belonging, the kind that begins within. You learn that real belonging does not depend on external validation, but on the relationship you build with your own essence. When you find yourself, you find your rightful place in the world, but will be a place unlike any you have inhabited before. During this metamorphosis, your relationship with your past also transforms. Old narratives lose their emotional charge. Memories that once caused anguish now feel neutral, even instructive. You see the recurring themes of your life, but no longer feel bound by them. Forgiveness ceases to be an effort and becomes an understanding. You begin to see people from your past through a new lens, recognizing their own struggles and limitations. Anger softens into compassionate sadness, and sadness matures into serene acceptance. You forge a new relationship with your own flaws and missteps. They become mentors, not critics. Every error reveals itself as a necessary step toward your authentic self. This self-acceptance may be the most challenging lesson of awakening, but also the most liberating. After the storm of emotional and physical upheaval comes an unusual tranquility, as if body and soul have finally met without any intermediary. The true completion of cycle does not arrive with fanfare, but with a deep internal surrender. This quiet is not empty. It is saturated with profound presence. Jung describes such moments as contact with the self, that greater consciousness beyond the personal ego. In this silence, you recognize that you are more than your history, more than your roles, more than your wounds. The noise of inner conflict subsides. The constant negotiation between the different parts of your personality grows still. What remains is a clear, peaceful awareness that seeks no validation. You no longer feel the need to explain yourself, not even to yourself. This silence is the cradle of a new consciousness. From it, new insights, new priorities, and a new way of being emerge. You begin to understand that the transformation has already occurred, even though you never consciously steered it. Life itself has been your guide, leading you through every breakdown and breakthrough without asking for consent. In this phase of deep calm, a new kind of intuition stirs within you, an inner knowing that doesn't require logical proof. You start sensing what is aligned for you without excessive analysis. Your body becomes a living compass, gently guiding you toward what nourishes your soul and quietly steering you away from what depletes or harms you. You begin to trust your instincts, not as fleeting impulses, but as the dialect through which your deeper self communicates. You finally comprehend that healing does not mean going back to who you were. It means becoming someone new, someone who has integrated their wounds instead of being defined by them. You carry your story, yes, but your story no longer carries you. The silence around you becomes an instructor, and through that silence, you start to learn a new language, the language of presence. You stop living through narratives and start living through moments. The past becomes a library of lessons instead of a prison of regrets. The future becomes a horizon of potential. What remains is the eternal now, pure, unfiltered, and real. In this stillness, you touch something immutable within you, something that has endured every change. Jung called it the self. Mystics might call it the essence. It is that eternal core within you that can never be wounded, never extinguished, never uncertain. And here, in this space, the true awakening commences. You no longer feel compelled to prove your worth, nor to struggle against your history. Your soul recognizes when the circle is complete. Your body ceases its resistance. Your sleep finds its rhythm again. The discomfort softens. You look at your reflection and realize you have changed. Not perfectly mended, but more integrated. Not invulnerable, but deeply conscious. You haven't reached a finale. You have finally awakened to what you have always been. The person who closed the old cycle is not the same one who will open a new. Jung spoke of rebirth as the central motif of human development. Every ending, he suggested, contains the seed of a new beginning. Every cycle that concludes is a quiet resurrection, a gentle opportunity to return closer to your authentic nature. You have traversed the death of an old identity and emerged as someone renewed. This rebirth is subtle. Externally, your life may appear similar, but internally, everything has realigned. Your motivations are different now. Your priorities have reordered themselves. Your relationships evolve in ways you couldn't have foreseen. You develop a new relationship with time itself. Impatience yields to a serene trust that everything unfolds in its perfect timing. You begin to think in spirals and seasons instead of straight lines. What seems unattainable today may become clear tomorrow. Your creativity reawakens, but not as a distraction from reality. It becomes an expression of your expanded perception. You start seeing beauty where you once saw nothing. You find significance in the ordinary. Colors seem more vivid. The contours of the world appear sharper, more vibrant. It's as if a filter has been lifted from your eyes, and now you perceive the same world, but with a deeper, more resonant clarity. The world begins to share its secrets with you, the ones that were always there, patiently waiting for you to become aware. Your connections with others shift as well. Some individuals naturally drift from your life, while new ones arrive as if by design. You attract those who resonate at a frequency similar to your own. Spirits who understand the same silent dialect of growth and awareness. Superficiality recedes, making room for depth. Quantity matters less than quality. Without intention, you become a quiet lighthouse for others who are also awakening. Others who are standing at the precipice of their own transformation. Your metamorphosis becomes an offering to the world. Even if you don't see it, transformation is never the conclusion of a journey. It is the commencement of a deeper one. You've learned to listen to the dialect of your body, to comprehend the messages of your soul, and to yield to the natural rhythm of endings and beginnings that life perpetually offers. Are you prepared for the next chapter of your life? This new chapter will be unlike any you have lived before. It will be founded upon a more profound authenticity, a kinder self-regard, and a quieter resilience. You will find that you need to do less in order to be more. You will find that you need to prove less in order to achieve more. You will discover that real power resides in quietude. That real wisdom lives in not knowing. And that real love is discovered in release. These paradoxes that once baffled your intellect will now become living truths that your heart understands intuitively. The old cycle has ended, and the new one has already begun. Even if you don't fully perceive it yet, your body knows it. Your soul feels it. And gradually, very gradually, your mind is beginning to understand it too. You're no longer the person you once were. And that, perhaps, is the most significant gift you could have ever given yourself. If you recognize these signals within your own experience, I invite you to share in the comments. Let's explore together how these cycles of completion manifest in our lives. Please like this video if it resonated, and subscribe to Winds of Thought to continue delving into the hidden languages of the soul and to journey deeper into this path of inner transformation. Remember, your awakening is not yours alone. It is part of a much grander awakening, one that belongs to all of humanity.